And now, FAIRFAX Breakfast Club with your host, Basile Lemba.
Welcome to the FAIRFAX Breakfast Club show. My name is Basile Lemba and I will be your host. The FAIRFAX Breakfast Club is a weekly program in which we bring to you valuable and workable know-how you can use to improve your networking skills and grow your business. We always start the show with a quote, and today's quote is, "Art strives to express, craft strives for excellence. Good art has good craft is artistic. Within every craft, there exists artist. Within every artist, there is craft." And that is from Ralph Reichenbach and Doug Madil. With us today in the studio, we have someone who specializes in craft. Her company is Virtuarte. I hope I did not miss it. And her name is Debbie Myers. Hello, Debbie.
Hello, Basile. How are you today?
Good. How about you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Correct me if I was right. How did you say it wrong? Why would you say the name of your company?
The name of my company is Virtu Art.
Virtu Art.
Yes.
Okay. You guys can see that on the screen so that you have it right.
Spelled Virtuarte, but the E is silent.
Okay, good. Well, how the name? Where did you get that from?
When I was thinking about starting the company, I was talking to a friend and she said to me, you need to use the visual thesaurus. So I started putting in art objects, and out came the word virtu, V-I-R-T-U. It's Italian based, there's Italian and there's French. VERTU is owned by Nokia, and it is high-end telephone. I knew I wouldn't be able to ever get that domain name, so I went to Virtu, started doing domain names, and a domain company came to me and said I couldn't get Virtu, but they had Virtu Art if I was interested, and that's how I ended up with Virtu Art.
Gotcha, okay. Where are you from originally, you said?
Originally from California.
Oh yeah, okay.
My mother is Mexican, and my father is American, and so I grew up in a bicultural home.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
It was interesting. My father has a German background, so Latin and German is an interesting mixture.
Yeah, like fire and water.
Exactly.
You didn't hear that from me. Okay, good. So tell us then what your company does.
So my company purchases handcrafted jewelry, textiles, and home decor items, vases, bowls, baskets, from artisans, mainly women, but some men, from developing countries.
Okay.
So I decided that there are so many beautiful items that are out there in the world that most people don't get the opportunity to see. They don't travel as I've had the opportunity to travel. And so I thought that I was going to have two objectives. One was to help artisans get more exposure for their work and help them to generate a sustainable income, and to introduce people to beautiful pieces of different cultural art that, as I said before, they probably would never have had the opportunity to see.
Where did that idea came from?
Well, my background, before I started the company, I worked in international economic development / international government affairs. So I had the opportunity to travel, and mainly I worked in developing countries and developing country issues. So I was traveling to places that most people never even had the idea of traveling. And wherever I went, I always had some time to go shopping.
Oh, okay.
And I would go to the markets, I would go to galleries.
To the bazaars?
Yes.
So you know how to deal.
Yes. So when I was thinking about doing something different, because I'd been doing, working in the corporate world and was getting tired of doing that, I thought, well, let's see, maybe it's time to do something completely different. Okay. And so I decided that maybe I should put my passion and my experience together and launched Virtu Art.
Okay. Since how long do you have it?
I've been in business for a little over 4 years.
Okay, very good.
And last year, 2012, was my best year so far.
Congratulations.
And 2013 is on track to surpass what I did in 2012. So.
But the show is going to probably get into a whole new level.
I
hope so.
I am hoping that is definitely the case. So I have pieces from 38 different countries.
Oh wow, that much.
Yes, and some 38 different artists. And if you go onto my website, each piece has the artist story right next to it. So you'll be able to learn about who made it, how it was made, and where it came from.
Gotcha.
And I've also decided to include information about the countries, because some people don't know where these places are.
Yeah.
And
like, do you do like a little map of maybe the continent and put a little red so they can help them? Okay, that's excellent. That's
I do.
Good. Okay.
And also, I've even put some information about the continents, because sometimes I don't think people,
even the continent,
exactly.
No, you're correct, because one day I was asked, is France within Paris? I was asked that question. So definitely, you got to do something about it.
Yes. So it's art, it's a learning and an educational tool. And you can buy the things.
You should buy the things. You see the website there? Click on it right now. I'm pausing because I'm reading a book right now, which I'm not even done with. And generally, I talk about a book once I'm done with it, but this is one of those rare books that in my business I'm recommending to people. It is How to Be Rich. It's written by J. Paul Getty.
Okay.
One of the first billionaires in the United States of America. I love the book deeply. Of course, by Rich talk about business and so forth, but it has been a very long time since I read a book that I enjoy thoroughly.
But why? Now, why do you enjoy it?
You're getting ahead of me.
Okay, sorry.
I'm just kidding. But I'm very surprised because in today's world, you get to think, well, this guy's making money, so he's just making money. That's all he can do. There's nothing else there.
Right.
But it's a dramatic contrast between the business people in general today and Paul Getty. His culture, it was art collector. His culture, he's so educated, talked about art and this and that and everything. I'm in awe because I was reading the book to say, how do I make another penny again? In fact, it was recommended to me for years by a successful business person. I said, I don't understand. This book says how to be. How can you miss it? How can you not read it? I'm being hammered and pounded by this, that, and I bought the book. I kept it. I tried the first one. The reason I stopped truly at the beginning because I had to look up words in the dictionary. He's very highly educated as a person. Even now and then, because I learned in school, I was student education, look up what you don't understand. So when I'm reading a book, if I don't understand, I look at dictionary. But here, every now, it was like, I'm like, hello, I ain't reading you anymore. But for some reason, I picked it back up. I mean, when I grab it, I read. And I'm blown away by the how can I say, the range that he covers. Business is a section of it, but it goes way. You talk about being rich. You talk about being rich emotionally, being rich mentally, being rich spiritually, and he covered that. It is short. It has been such a long time since I read such a book. And he talked about art, the importance of it. He talks about how we should do better on this state-wise here, because he lived in Europe. And in Europe, when the guests come from this side over there, he's trying to entertain them. When it comes to go out, finding out the culture, he was not met with much of interest. And he explained to be rounded, you need it.
No, I agree with that. And one of the things in my business is that many of these artists are using techniques that have been passed down from generation to generation. So it's part of their culture and it's part of their heritage. And yet, if they don't few that they can make a living, if they can't make a sustainable income from it, then they stop. They go and look for work someplace else. And you lose that. And it's important for, I believe, in cultures to maintain your cultural roots. And if younger generations don't think that they can, in fact, make a living from doing these types of, having these types of skills, then they're going to stop, and those parts of their culture are going to be lost. So for me, it's very important to help them maintain their culture, preserve their culture, to be able to make a living, and to introduce it to people like you. You know, pieces that I believe you would love them because they're beautiful art. And I want people to come to my website and buy pieces because they fall in love with them, and then return to see what else is there by the same artist or by new artists, because I'm constantly looking for new things to put onto the site.
It's always interesting because one of the things that Paul Gary is hammering in his book is for the state to put more money into the art.
I agree.
Really hammering and panning. He didn't give the number. He said, this is the total budget. This is that much. We only have this much put in art. It doesn't make sense. If you add this, it wouldn't even affect the budget for that matter. He said, why don't we put more money? Because yes, those artists are faced with bills. Let's put it crudely. They are faced with bills. They got to take out their bills. And only if you work out a way where they can get a living can they continue. They stop, not because they want to stop, but because they're facing economical situation they have to deal with.
No, absolutely right. And that's no different whether it's here in the United States or in Brazil or South Africa or Indonesia. It's, people need to make a living. And if they can't make it from the traditional way that they have, they look for new ways. And that's why then you end up with a lot of migration in the developing countries, migration into the big cities.
Oh yeah, dramatic now.
Because that's where they think they can find jobs. And so they leave their homes, they leave their families, and yet, are they any better off? And a lot of times, no, they're not. That they're in sometimes worse situations in the big cities than they were, in their villages. So that's why I'm hoping to be able to make a little, help a little bit in terms of giving the opportunity for people to be able to stay, near their families, in villages, in the context, and still do the things that they love.
I think it's very, very important. It's more than important. Great humanitarian wrote, the greatness of a culture is measured by its dreams, and its dreams are dreamed by artists. His name is L. Ron Hubbard. It is fundamental because when you look at, for example, the Olympics Games or the World Cup or what have you, which Paul Getty, by the way, talked about in the book, they never show you the letters Wuji Wuji. They never talked about it. They show you the culture, the arts of the country, because instinctively is what measures the culture. But what is missed is supporting the culture, the arts.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
And it's known, for example, in school today, when they start talking about cutting the budget, the first thing the school cut is art. But
art and music, yes.
So there is a big misunderstanding on the value of things right there. And it is costly.
Oh, extremely costly.
Extremely costly.
Yes.
Extremely, extremely costly. Can you imagine the world without music?
No, I can't imagine the world without music. I can't imagine the world without plays, without books, without paintings. No, I mean, look at in Europe, some of the master artists. What would their culture be without those artists?
And he even goes further in the book. He's talking about the people who commission, the patron of the Van Gogh and what have you. Yeah, and the name of who pay for Van Gogh. Nobody's cared about. They want Van Gogh, not whoever got the money. Which is, I never thought about it. I said, you're right. Nobody talk about who for funding Van Gogh. They talk about him.
That's right.
And really, it's a fascinating book.
I'm going to go out and get it. After I leave here, I'm going to go get it.
In fact, I'll get it to our director so she can put it on the screen as well.
Okay.
It got to be promoted. Yeah, and we see how to be rich. Don't get stuck on rich. Is one of the most valuable. And he has a tremendous amount of common sense, as I've never seen, I've rarely seen. A tremendous amount of common sense. And it makes sense. To become the first billionaire, you got to have some common sense.
Yes.
You're not going to get there by humming a hoe. I'm not sure. You got to be sure. But it's very, very valuable. A view that to me was, I am amazed. In fact, while I'm a hand here, I want to make a public confession.
Okay.
Now have everybody attention, right?
Yes.
What we do here actually is part of a foundation that I have, which is called the Competence Foundation. And we support arts, education, business, and sportsmanship. As far as business, we have the Breakfast Club, the Expo, and the TV show. And we have other businesses. Those businesses are set up to generate money, of which 51% of the money goes to arts. Let me give that to you again. The money our business generate, 51% goes to the art. The rest of 49% goes to education, business, and sportsmanship. A way for us to push and support the arts.
Right, and to continue to support give the incentive for young people to go into the arts. Because as I was saying before, if they don't see a way to pay their bills, generate an income, they go, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go play sports, I'm going to go into business. And we lose some people who have great skills.
Because they impact the culture, the civilization more than anybody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, business has an impact, but it's really the arts. It's the arts that's remembered. It's not the businesses that are remembered. Going back to what we said about Europe, nobody ever remembers what was going on in terms of business there, but they remember, Michelangelo, Picasso, Van Gogh. Those are the things that they remember from those cultures.
But folks, we're not against everybody else. Just don't get that idea. One of the biggest accomplishments in our lifetime is mine making it on the moon.
Right.
1960. Okay. What happened before 1960? In the 30s and 40s, science fiction boomed.
Jules Verne.
So the sequence is the engineer read the book and then go, let me see how I can make this a reality. He goes into the lab to make that happen. So arts come first and the technology follows.
Well, as you said before, dream. It's the dreamers who create the culture and the art, and that's a great example of in the 30s and 40s they were the dreamers, and then somebody said, I'm going to take that and make it.
Exactly.
So we need the dreamers.
Most definitely. No one can imagine the world without music, as an example. Absolutely. It would be very grim, but that's the point of it. I guess because none of those is not necessarily something is not necessarily tangible. Right. That's what does not get much attention, because if we can touch it and hold it there, then it's real. But if it's still at the level of idea or concept, it may not matter or may not be necessarily important. But guess what? We are here today in this room because somebody thought of this table and designing and what have you. Right. The studio building, it all started with the idea. That's the field arts and dreams sit in.
Right.
They come first. So if we nourish and support them, then we wind up with a better world.
Yes, I agree. And that is exactly what I'm trying to do in some of the developing countries, is support the dreamers, the artists, because that, as you said, to make a better world.
Well, I'm trying to help also, because this is primarily a business show, but we invite artists or people who work in the field of artists to showcase them as well.
Because they also have to have some business,
Yeah, well, folks, guess what? Pay your bills. Don't go to God say I should dream all day. Yeah, but take some time and pay your bills. I tell you how to pay your bills. We have a FAIRFAX breakfast. No, I'm serious. We have a FAIRFAX Breakfast Club event taking place each and every month here in FAIRFAX at Old Town Hall. I'm not saying we'll pay all the bills, but I'm saying you're welcome to come. We'd love to have you. And also I want to throw in that we have an expo coming on December 6th. In fact, Debbie will be one of the exhibitors.
I will be.
We're happy you'll be joining us.
And I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, it will be on December 6th here in Fairfax at Mason Inn, George Mason University. We are going to have 100 exhibitors there, and we're expecting 400 to 500 business people. Okay, let's carry on. Now, Debbie, tell us, what is the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge right now for me is getting people to see the product, drive them to my website, because I know that once people see it, they fall in love with it.
Okay.
So I am very much looking forward to the expo because it's a whole new audience for me, and being able to show them the different products, and that's really what I'm trying to do now is find as many venues that I can get out and showcase the work of these artists.
Okay, very good. And what would you consider your biggest success so far?
My biggest success so far? Being able to give back a certain amount of the sales to 2 communities that I have been working with to help in terms of improve their schools.
Okay, that's good.
So the more sales I make, the more people I can help. And that's the way I look at it. I can help in terms of, buying more pieces of work and finding, more artists, but then also giving back to the communities where the artists live.
That's good, that makes sense. Well, folks, you see the website there. We want you to take a look at it, go and find out about different pieces. And also we asked our director to show some of the works or some of the pictures that you have, so you'll be seeing them on the screen as well. It's great because you get to see pieces you've never seen before. And it's wealth, it's enrichment to take a look at them and to get them. They can only enhance your life. So again, we want to can you check that website, go and visit it and learn more about it. I wanted to have you on the show because it's fundamental. As I say, we support arts a lot. And let me do another confession. I happen to be an architect.
Really?
Yes. You probably didn't know about that.
No, I did not.
An architect. I studied architecture in Paris and worked there. So I have a good understanding of the arts and the importance of it. And the reason arts number one, I'll give me a chance to talk about it. I never talked about that over here on screen. The reason arts number one is because I would like to give a couple of examples how art influenced life. There was one point in New York, there was an area, crime was just tremendous. I mean, if a tourist walked into that area, he may come back, but the wallet or the purse will stay. The mayor of the city put a classical orchestra in that place near the metro. They start playing classical music. The crime went down to 0.
Wow.
In 14th centuries, Leonardo da Vinci said the blood is coming from the heart and then going through the body. People say, an artist, who listened to him? In 18th century, Shakespeare wrote the same thing. He said the blood is coming from here and going through the body. And in that theater, that night, there was an MD called Harvey. He heard that, went into the lab, checked with some animals, found that was the case. And against everybody who was with Galens who say in 2nd century the blood is going up and down. Finally, it got approved. The question is, if people would have listened to Leonardo da Vinci in 14th century, for 400 years there, how many lives could have been saved?
Exactly.
This is the power of art.
Yes, I agree with you.
Name it, medicine, crime, or whatever. We can go on and on and on and on. You can see the impact of art on the culture.
Right.
Everything starts with an idea.
Yep.
All the creation around us starts with an idea. So that's where arts live, in the realm of ideas. That's what it is fundamental to support the arts. A fact that is not very much understood in today's society.
No, not at all. And unfortunately, many people get the idea that the arts are expendable. As you said, when they start talking about budget cuts in schools, or even in the federal government, what's the first thing they look at? The arts programs.
Folks, we just want to get it out there. With the example that we just, and all the information we've shared over here, I think you get the idea. This is an invitation for you to support the art in your community by going to our website, whichever way you go about it, because our lives depend on it.
Yes. When
the movie Braveheart was made by Mel Gibson, Scotland as a whole country stood up and said, no, we got to sever ourselves from England. By doing the movie alone, the Scottish people sat there, did nothing. Once that movie came out, to see the impact of the people said, you know what, we're going to do something about it. And that again showed the power of arts. Your support is needed. The world at large haven't gotten it. And this program, I hope, will get across to you the value of it. We want you to get on it because your own life depends on it, on supporting the arts. Whichever way you go about it, how many ways you want to do, how much of it is important, but please do it. Well, Debia, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for the opportunity.
My pleasure. To the audience, thank you and see you next time. Bye-bye.